Okay, I'm at 4802 Oak Street in Norwood, Ohio. I'm doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a main stack in the rear left corner of the basement. It's a PVC stack, but I believe it goes into based off the age of the home. I think the home was built in 1905. It should have clay underneath the floor, unless it's been replaced. It would be clay pretty much all the way out to the sewer main. And so we'll find that out as we go. As soon as we get down through the floor, it switches over to clay, which is kind of what we expected here. Clay is a good material. It's actually pretty good. We don't really have a whole lot of rotting and stuff like that when it comes to clay. It's pretty good material. The biggest thing we see is, like I mentioned earlier, with root intrusion. If there's a tree nearby, usually over the years, these connections, because they're so short, you'll have about 3 feet in between connections. And so with those 3 feet, like 3 feet in between connections, a lot of times the packing there's so many connections, and a lot of times you'll have some like breakdown in the packing a little bit, and just allow a little bit of tree roots. Now, I'm not sure what that was on the left. It didn't look like anything. It could have been mineral deposits. It could have been somebody's lunch, but just a little bit offset in the line. And we can speak about that when I come back to it. But most of the time with those, what that is where, because they're such small sections of pipe, you can basically see the next connection when you're sitting in the previous one. Is that they would use these the connections are like a bell, a male, female, and they could move around a lot, and the connections are not real tight connections, and they would pack them with like a gypsum or a concrete, and depending on how old the line is. And so they can rotate them and get depth or turn slightly without having to use fittings, which usually makes it a lot easier. And so, a little surprising here, we have I'm out about 63 feet, and there looks like there's a connection off to the right. So I'm not sure. In this area, it all would be storm. Would be connected into your sanitary. Sanitary being your bathrooms and kitchen, all the interior plumbing. And then storm being your downspouts and area drains, stuff like that. So I'm assuming that's what that connection is, but I'll try to take a look a little closer to see. There's some more. Looks like somebody's lunch, so maybe the last person that used this. The problem is there's no stationary tub, there's no nothing for me to run water down other than upstairs, and I can't do that because the pipe is open to get my camera in it. So unusual. Everything's in shape. Again, it just looks like there's some stuff that's left in here that's just really old. And there is the main. So we made it all the way to the main, and the line looks great structurally. Didn't see anything of any major concern or anything. Just some stuff laying in the pipe, really. No protrusion. All the joints look nice and tight. You see, like this stuff, this should disappear as soon as you start really running water through it regularly. The line is really dry. It is vacant, so I wish I could run some water down here somewhere, but there's no way I can without making a mess. Just something too, this, I'm sure you can see a little bit of the cracking, a little spider webbing going on. This is normal, and just to make you feel better that if anything was to ever happen in this area at 85 feet out, now we're very close to the main, and so once it gets out into the street or at the sidewalk usually, the Metropolitan Sewer District would take over responsibility. So this would be repaired. This is only 5 feet from the main, and so if anything was to ever happen in that area, it would be fixed by the Metropolitan Sewer District. So I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by the condition of this. Let's see. Wish I could see what that was, but there's nothing. It's just debris. Oh, and there's some. See, that's looks like a rag. Oh, that should be. You're in 6-inch clay, so that should be able to take that once the water's running. It should very easily make its way out to the main. There's evidence of just a little bit of water coming in, but not much. You can see the wet on the bottom of the pipe. So here we are, 30 feet in. I think I'm going to pause the video here and see if we can find out what this connection is. It has to be storm, because there's very little water. It can't be another person's lateral, because if that was the case, it'd be a lot more full of water, or at least there'd be a lot more signs of usage. And so I'm going to pause the video. We're going to locate this and just try to find out what that connection is. Okay, so it looks like it has to be the downspout. It's right in the center of the front yard. And there's a downspout. If you're facing the house, there's a downspout on the front left corner. And that lines up with where this kind of connects as far as if they just brought it out into the front yard and tied it in. And like I said, with the lack of water in the line, all this is probably stormed from the snow melt more than anything else. I'm not sure they've done any running any of the fixtures for the plumbing yet. So there's this little spot, and I want to know what this stuff is there. It's not roots. It might be a mineral deposit or something, but I think it's just could be bleed through, because it looks like they're turning the line down. So if you can see, now you have a lip right there, and it looks like they took the pipe and they turned it down a little bit to get the line to drop. And so that is obviously, like, that's normal. You see that all the time, as I was mentioning before. There's just that little debris right there, and I'm assuming that if you run water enough, it'll take that down, because it looks like natural material. It really doesn't look like mineral deposits or anything. And with the other stuff we saw on the line, I'm just trying to see if I can get my camera to hit it, to see if I can see how hard or soft it is, and see if we can get it. Because if you can see marks from my camera, then we know it's soft enough to where it's just going to come apart. It's very hard though. that, it keeps moving further and further away instead of closer. And so I'll mention it in the report that it's an unidentified piece of material that should just disintegrate under normal use, but it's just kind of weird because I can't get my camera to move over to that side to actually, it's forcing my camera over to the right side before it ever gets there. I can try it maybe. It's just the natural path of the line is taking me to the other side, which may be why that is there and not moved yet. But yeah, we're at 45 feet there. So my camera cleaned off now that I'm messing around. There comes the condensate pump. Maybe we'll see something come down here from there. Should see a little bit of water come down through here. Won't be much, but yeah, you're kind of seeing it raise up. You're just not getting a whole lot of flow through here because that condensate pump's probably the only water that's being contributed. See it moving by slush is not enough water. You need some toilet flushes and stuff like that to be able to get pushed through here. But at any rate, but the line looks great. I will be able to I will mention that at 45 feet there is some 45 feet that there is something like that little piece of unidentified debris, but I just think it's natural material is what it kind of looks like. So. But even at that 45 feet, that little piece of debris is not obstructing flow. You see the water was able to get around it and everything, and I do think that once the line is used on a regular basis, that will make its way through the line better. And, it'll break down, just make its way down. Chances are that was just somebody went to the restroom and then it got left in the line when the last person that was here, and so now it's it sat unused for a while other than the condensate pump, and so it's just still sitting there. But yeah, no, the line looks great structurally. Everything is intact. All the joints look really good. No root intrusion. Everything looked really good. So just have that little, piece of material at 45 feet. Other than that, the line is great. So that's going to end the inspection at 4802 Oak Street in Norwood, which is in Cincinnati, Ohio.